to the world.
I didn't think you attended. I thought you said you was.
Yeah, no, 15th.
How are you?
Good. Because I live a beast place.
Welcome everybody. I declare the meeting open and I remind everyone that we will be digitally recording in accordance with council policy to assist in the preparation of minutes and to allow for live streaming. A reminder to those in attendance to ensure their mobile phones are switched to silent throughout the meeting. The Circular Head Council acknowledges the North West Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of the country in which we stand, meet and play. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. Attendance, we've got leave of absence actually from Councillor Dabney, who is here, and a leave of absence for Councillor Oldacre. Everyone else is in attendance. I'll ask you to be upstanding for prayers, please.
Let us take a moment to clear our minds and focus on achieving outcomes that serve the greater good of the whole community. May light illuminate all present and support everyone to bring their highest and best selves to the debate and the decisions made here tonight.
Thank you, councillors. Deck 2.0, declarations of interest. Is there any council got anything? Council, any declaration there? Councillor Hine?
Probably page 7 with the rates for...
Item number, mate? Sorry?
Yeah, righto. Okay, page 7 with...
Now, I'm going through.
To do with the fact that I'm a member of the Lions Club.
With the, so what's the order on that? That's for the rebate job one.
Yep.
3.4.
3.4, thanks councillor Hine.
Righto, thank you, I didn't write that in there.
Any further? We move on. Now, whilst it's not in the agenda, we're going to allow any public member, if they wish to make a statement or ask a question, if you do so, please do so now. No, we move forward. 3.1, financial management strategy.
Thank you,
Rachel.
Mr Mayor. Councillors, before you we have a number of items on the agenda tonight relating to the budget and its adoption. The first one is the financial management strategy. The financial management strategy is a document that sets out what Council's strategy is moving forward relating to its financial position, cash flow and ratios moving forward in the next 12 months. We do have an existing strategy in place, so this is basically no change to that. It's just reconfirming the contents of the previous policy or the strategy. The main parts of the strategy, just go to my page here, are on page 14 of the agenda under the executive summary. That operating revenues of the council in any particular year should be equal to or greater than its operating expenses. Council, that funds will not be borrowed to complete any recurrent work currently in place or any future recurrent expenditure on core activities. So that's basically saying that we're not going to buy our groceries on a credit card, so we fund our operating activities out of our revenues and that we'll only borrow for longer lived assets over a period of time. We'll commit to retaining a minimum cash balance equivalent to the previous year's general rate in terms of reserves. To have a long-term funding plan for renewal of our assets, and the last one is to meet our financial ratio targets. So they're the main items in the financial management strategy. So, Mr Mayor, I'll present that first report for Council's consideration, and it's no change to the previous strategy.
Thank you. Councillors, is there any questions to Rachel on that? on relation to this report?
On the motion, yes, I'd like to, the council to consider amending that motion and endorse the current financial management strategy without amendment and transfer that to 3.8. The way
Right,
so I'd like to move that, thank you.
I'll second that.
second of councillor Flowers. All right, go ahead, councillor.
Right.
Hang on, wait till we get that up, please. 3.8.
Or if there's somewhere more suitable than 3.8.
There's no
I'm not
3.8.
sure what it is. Mr Mayor, can I just get some clarity on what you actually mean by the motion, councillor Hine?
My understanding, if we go ahead and endorse what's there, then there's no opportunity to question anything further through. It's a done deal, and so we've accepted the whole thing as it reads. Endorses the current financial strategy without amendment.
Yep, so.
That's just this strategy though.
Through you, Mr Mayor, it's the strategy that is starting on page 12.
Yes.
It's not the annual plan, it's not the rates resolution, it's not the rating strategy. It's only the financial management strategy with those 6 outcomes in it. That's it. So that we'll look after our assets, that we won't borrow
Yeah, right.
for our operating activities, that we need to raise more revenue than what we spend, and we need to meet our financial ratio targets.
Thank
So
you.
that's the strategy.
Right. So there will be an opportunity to go through and question those other things through the...
On every resolution that comes up, as per normal, the councillors get an opportunity to ask questions, yes. On every resolution that comes up, as per what normally happens.
Right.
Can I just ask a further question, Mr Mayor?
Yes, certainly.
What was your question in relation to Councillor Hine? We might be able to help in terms of working out which one on the agenda.
Well, it's the whole lot all the way through. My understanding of that there's no opportunity to amend it or anything, and so I'm quite happy for that to be transferred down to 3.8 so we can complete the whole thing and endorse the lot. But the way my interpretation of that is that if we accept what's there now, it's a done deal, and we really haven't got an opportunity to...
If we accept what's here, that the 3.1, the financial strategy,
Yes?
is what we're dealing with. None of the others.
None of the other stuff.
So
None of the others. It's just that resolution.
through you again, Mr Mayor, on page 14 again, all you're adopting here is to say that our strategy, whether we achieve it or not, but our strategy is to try and attempt to have our operating revenues greater than our expenses, which any council in Tasmania would or has to do.
Accept that, yes.
That we won't borrow any funds unless it's for a major project, basically, and there's a sort of an intergenerational part to it where we need to borrow so future people can pay for that. That we'll retain a minimum of 1 year's cash balance
Yes.
in our bank.
Accept that, yes.
Yep. That will look after our assets.
Yep.
And that will meet our ratios.
Righto.
So that's it. And really through Mr Mayor, there's probably 2 or 3 of those that were actually required to meet under the Local Government Act anyway.
Yes.
So there's really only the borrowings one, and the 1 year's general rate reserve as cash balance. They're the only 2 that we don't have to meet under legislation, but it's basically a policy position of the council to do that.
Right.
So through another question, is there any of that you're uncomfortable with?
No, that's fair enough.
Okay.
It's just that I don't want to see a done deal with
So that's just this resolution.
Thank you.
Every other one is a separate resolution on the way through.
Thank you.
So if there's any stuff that come back. Councillor Flowers?
As long as we're got the right to debate or change anything else in the actual budget itself.
Every other resolution, 3.2, 3, 4, 5, they all stand alone.
Yep.
Yep.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're withdrawing that amendment?
I'll withdraw that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or anything in relation? That's been pretty well explained. Could I have a move and a second then that the resolution be put? Thanks to Councillor Collins, second to Councillor Pilkington. Any debate? I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. Rating strategy.
I've got to get best on ground tonight. Mr.
You
Mayor.
will get best on ground tonight?
Councillors, before you, we have the new rating strategy on page 20. So we've been working on this document possibly for the last 18 months since it was first brought to council for a workshop. We had a report prepared by More Consulting in the last 12 months as well to look at the capacity to pay of the community. So basically a review of all the different sectors in our community around capacity to pay. So councillors had some insights into what that looked like. The rating strategy is really what we're trying to achieve out of rates. The rating policy, which you'll have next, is the how that we're going to do that. So in terms of the rating strategy, it sets out what our requirements are under the Local Government Act. It looks at what our outcomes want to be. It also lists our valuation base. So we currently use the AAV method for valuing rates. There is other options under there, and council did consider them in terms of land value and capital value, but thought at this point in time, with the municipal revaluation and the introduction of differential rating, that it was probably a step too far this financial year to consider other rating methods. So we've stuck with the AAV method. The big change from this rating system compared to what we've had in the last probably 30 years is around differential rates. And that's really about different industries deriving, I suppose, greater commercial benefit from the infrastructure that we provide as a municipality, and also having a larger economic capacity to pay than others. So the 6 differentials in here, which are vacant land, manufacturing and mining, manufacturing, food processing, forestry, quarries and timber mills, and they are through on page 12 to 14. Also talks about service charges in terms of stormwater and waste, and state government levies in terms of the fire service rate as well. There's also a section in there on how we provide support for ratepayers as well through pension rate discounts and financial hardship assistance, and also the rate payment options. So I'll commend that to council, Mr Mayor. It's a fairly extensive document in terms of having how we rate and why we rate. We have had it legally checked as well too, just to give that the tick off. And I'll present it for council's consideration.
Thanks, Rachel. Again, any questions on 3.2? Councillor Pilkington?
I think I should ask, we've put a lot of work into making sure this is equitable, and we feel that's correct, is that right? Yeah. So the industries that have had an increase have not been contributing in what we thought was a fair way in the past, and no one is being unfairly treated. And if they can prove they are being unfairly treated, they can approach council with proof.
Through you, Mr Mayor, and I suppose at any point in time, council will consider representations from people to consider at any point in time throughout the entire financial year as well too. So if people do, we'll be having letters go out to affected people, depending on obviously the results of tonight's decisions, for the ones that are affected by the differentials. And yeah, if there wants to be contact with council to reconsider that or put forward cases or whatever, then get in contact with the council and we can go from there.
I think I can add to that is that's basically the way it is now anyway.
Yep.
But given the circumstances of where we're going, it's probably more likely this year.
I just thought it should be stated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, can I have a move and a seconder? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. Any debate? I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. 3.3.
So the next one up, Mr Mayor, we have the rates and charges policy. So the previous one was the what. This is the how we're going to do it and how we're going to implement it. So rates and charges policy we're required to have under the Local Government Act. It probably is a duplication in terms of what the rating strategy says, but it's in a little bit more of operational detail. Just go over the page. So the policy starts on page 46, and it basically goes through, why we rate as well. So it duplicates the rating strategy. There's also a good section for you, Councillor Koski, on page 49, which talks about how we actually rate. There's a bit of a misconception in the community, which I've seen and received feedback in the last couple of days on, that as soon as valuations go up, the council rates go up, and that's not correct. There is a pool of funding that we say here on page 49, you've got, say, $10.7 million. Divide that by the total AAV in the municipality to get out a cent in the dollar. So the 7.75% that's gone up this year is actually on that 10.7 million. So if the valuations go up, it means the cent in the dollar actually drops. So the misconception that, that valuations go up and we automatically get a windfall of funds, and that's not the case. So just to make that clear. It also lists service rates around cost recovery of services. So in terms of waste services and stormwater, that we recover those full cost recovery. So we do full cost attribution in those services. And also around supplementary valuations that happen during the year and how they are actually processed. So with that, Mr Mayor, I will present that report for Council's consideration as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Again, any questions on that? If not, can I have a move and a seconder, please? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. Any debate? I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 3.4. This is, yes, Councillor Hine, this is yours. Yep.
I'll vacate the premises. Yep. Thank you.
We'll call you back as soon as we finish. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this one, councillors currently have a policy in place relating to, the previous one is the rates and service charge remission policy. So under the Local Government Act, in the rating section, there are certain charities that the council can't rate because they have a charitable status exemption. So there is, however, another bunch of sporting groups, etc., that fall outside that charitable lost the word, category, that's it, outside that category, the council wish to provide a remission for. So it might be something like Scouts or a football club or whatever that own a piece of property that are not in that category, the council would like to provide a remission for. So we currently have that in place. The current policy also provides a certain percentage remission for the service rate charges, so things like waste collection fees. So what this policy does is it still provides the rates exemption, the general rate exemption, but it is removing the remission of the service rate section of that policy. So basically, exemption under the general rate is still there, but the remission for service rates has been removed. So that's the difference in this policy. So council discussed this at length, Mr Mayor, but I'll present that for council's consideration as well.
Thank you. Councillor Flowers.
So does that mean the Bob Brown Foundation turns up here tomorrow, saying they're a charitable organisation, we don't rate them?
I'm not sure where they'll sit in the rating thing, but that would be depending on where they sit in the legislation. I would suggest it'd be how it works.
Yep.
If it's in the legislation and we've got no say, we can make a decision if it's not in the legislation.
We can charge them for everything else, though.
We can charge them for
Yeah.
everything else under this policy. Is that correct?
Good, thank you.
But only at 100%.
I think the thing is with Mr Mayor, the thing is with policies, there is that consistency there,
Yes.
and apply things to people consistently.
Yep, that's a good point as well. Thank you. Right, so no other questions? The mover and a seconder. Councillor Dabner, Councillor Pilkington. No debate?
No, thank you.
Put the motion, those in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried. 3.5, rescinding of policies.
Only for
Wait for Tony.
Oh, sorry, forgot him. Thanks, Matt.
I've driven our manager to tears already.
How quickly
He's
you
eating
forget
all the
them.
chocolate biscuits while we're...
Comes near chomping, you'll know. Sorry, Councillor Hine, I nearly forgot you.
Oh, that's all right.
3.5, Rachel.
Thanks again, Mr Mayor.
What page number?
59.
59.
This one is around the rescinding of a couple of policies. So the council have been through a fairly long and involved budget process this financial year, and there's been discussion around the policies that are in place. There's two that have been reviewed. The first one is around first homeowner assistance policy and the guideline. So under our policy framework, some of our policies have a more detailed guideline which is sort of operational that goes with it. So the first homeowner assistance policy has been in for a number of years. It was quite easy to administer when the state offered the same first homeowners grant process and rebate for people to actually receive. They had the paperwork to go through. They did all the checks and balances, and we could just receive that information and provide the rebate here as well too. So it was $750 off rates for that year. When the state decided that they didn't do that process anymore, it then became a little difficult for us to actually administer that. But we've kept this in. I don't think any other councils in the state do this first homeowners grant like the council have for, I reckon, the last 15 years. Council, through the budget process, have been looking at, you know, the value and the benefit of all these different things that are offered in terms of the services that we offer to community. There has been a little bit of an uptake with it in the last few years, but as with everything, we can't do everything. So this is one of the ones that was up for review. The last few years, I think there's been somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 spent in that one. In terms of the conservation covenant rates rebate, for people that have a conservation covenant lodged with the state government over land that they can't basically log or touch, then council offered an additional rebate to those property owners as well. There was only a few in the region, and the dollars for that each financial year were around about the $1,800 and $1,900 mark. So the policies are both up for rescinding at this point in time, and I'll present them for council's consideration, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions on those? Councillor Flowers?
Yeah, the one with the environmental one, we probably should have, or probably should look down the track. People that's got government-forced reserves on their property, like for creeks and stuff like that. The government don't mind pushing out these parks and reserves on the private property, and then we're forced to pay the rates and everything for them. Like the landowner's forced to pay the rates. Like if you've got some bush there and you're not allowed to clear it, you're not allowed to do nothing with it, maybe down the track we should be looking at saying to them, property owners, rightio, you don't have to pay rates on that. Because it's not their doings, it's the state government and the Triagon bureaucrats that are making that happen.
Without the description with the bureaucrats, I think we can put that for a discussion, come through next year, to look at that part of it again under where you'll put that down. So we'll take a note of that and encourage next year's council to consider that on the way through.
And maybe some of the forest industries probably look at that too, because if they've got, say for instance, they've got 5,000 acres of land and they're only allowed to use 4,000 acres of land, we're rating them for 5, that's a bit unfair on them. At this stage they haven't probably thought of that one yet, but I'm probably
Helping them.
saying we'll go for it,
Yeah, look,
because it's none of their doing.
from what you're describing, if it's the same situation on a request, we would have to sit down and look at it. But it's something that we should consider. Consider the policy at the next year's budgeting time to move forward with that from there.
That, through you, Mr Mayor, that also could be reflecting the property's valuation as well too, depending on how it's valued. So there would probably need to be a paper come back to a workshop at some point in time for council to consider the facts.
Yeah, like with what I'm saying, it's enforced reserves, not someone saying that I just want to make a reserve.
No.
Yeah, like if the government's making them have a reserve, well, rightio, we should be rating them on it.
Or there's an
Differential valuation, you're saying?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, no, here you're at, so we'll get that down as a note to consider going forward through next year's lot.
Right, thank you.
Did you have something, Councillor Pilkington?
I just support the principle of what he's saying, but I don't think it's our responsibility to pay for it. It should be forced under other governments to do it.
No, which would form part of our discussion as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments there? If not, could I have a move and a seconder? Councillor Collins has been sworn, and Deputy Mayor. No debate. Put the motion, those in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried. 3.6.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this is the rates resolution for 26-27. This is actually the legislative instrument under the Local Government Act that allows council to rate. So it has been legally reviewed again, just to make sure that every few years we go through a legal process to make sure that the resolutions are watertight and that it's not open for scrutiny. In terms of page 68, we've got section 2 there under the general rate. This year is a little bit different in terms of the differentials, where we set a cent in the dollar for the base level of properties. Then we also have variations from that, which are the differentials, which relate back to the rating strategy. And they're listed in section 2.3 and 2.4. We also have listed there the fire service contribution. We get notification from Tasmanian Fire Service each year to say how much we have to rate. We have no control over what those figures are and what the minimums are for that. We then have waste management services charges under section 4, which sets out our contribution to everyone contributes to running the transfer station, urban collection, rural collections based upon the maps and the routes that we have mapped, the recycling collection and the FOGO collection. Over the page we've also got the stormwater rate with the Smithton and Stanley districts and maps. We've also got what happens if people default, when the instalments are due. The big change this year as well is that there will be no discount. So Council made a decision a couple of years ago to the 3% discount at that point in time to be reduced in half last financial year to 1.5%, and this year that was going to be removed. And the dates are still basically set in 3 instalments. And I think that's it, Mr Mayor. I'll present the rates resolution for consideration.
Thank you. Again, any questions? Councillor Flowers, just in time.
Yeah. Just be good to highlight that, making a statement to highlight that the fire levy is not part of Circular Council. That's enforced on us by the state government. Probably we should, I don't know whether we next year or next time make it quite clear that anything that's enforced on us by any other department, government department or whatever, is well and truly highlighted for the public to see that this is not our charge. We're just sucker that's got to collect the money.
Yeah, don't disagree with that idea at all.
So we're about, through Mr Mayor, I think the charge for the fire levy this year is in the order of about 500 that we have on our rates notices.
Mr Mayor, I think we should lobby that the state government use their own agency, Service Tasmania, instead of council to collect fire rates and their other charges. I mean, why are we doing it?
Well, we're doing it because we've got to do it, but I hear we can lobby. But
I haven't got an issue with collecting it, but they should be giving us a percentage of what we collect.
or
It would be more to the point, because for the state government to collect them, it's going to cost us more money. Probably not as a council, but as a taxpayer, it's going to cost us more money.
Through Mr Mayor, we do get 4%. So
get
we get around 20 grand a year for administering it.
No worries.
but it should be highlighted, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, no more? Moving to seconder, Councillor Hine, seconded Councillor Poposky. Debate? No debate, I'll put the motion, oh, sorry.
I'd like to speak on.
Yes, certainly can. Councillor Pilgrim, apologies.
We've been asked by some ratepayers to reject this budget. I'm not going to do that.
So, Councillor Pilgrim, you probably,
Next one.
you want, next one.
Right.
3.7, we have to do the budget. Do you want
I'm going to
to?
start anyway.
Got it before me then.
Right, so I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against, carried. 3.7, the General Manager, please to start.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If councillors could bear with me whilst I run through some details. I think it's important, based on a great deal of attention being drawn to the business plan and the budget, and in particular a recent focus on the salaries component of the budget. And I feel it appropriate to provide some more substance to the high-level singular information that's been outlined in the media. So first of all, I just want to take a moment about what we are as an organisation, because I think it's important to set the scene, and obviously this table knows what we are. But we're unlike any other business in the municipality, and we are a business. That's important to note. We operate in a complex regulatory environment that's constantly being asked to do more by a state government and the federal government with less resource. Our budget is around $30 million a year when we think about our capital expenditure as well. We service about over 760 kilometres of roading, 96 bridges, 25 parks and reserves, 9 boat ramps and jetties, 10 cemeteries, 3 recreation grounds and the Swirl facility. And what might not be noted around the table is that we manage over $400 million worth of gross assets of property, plant, equipment, and material costs alone in the last year have risen by 40%. We have a population of 8,200 people and about 5,000 ratepayers, and we cover nearly 5,000 square kilometres of municipality. Now, naturally, we have a community that wants to see more value from council and tangible changes that deliver good customer experience. And it should be noted that we've only actually got, through the Local Government Act, 3 methods of generating income. We have fees and charges, we have rates, and we have grants. So what we have been doing to build value and enhance the experience, first and foremost? Well, we all know around this table we've been on a journey for 12 months. And it's been my pleasure to be part of that journey. We've embedded our investment in all of our plans and strategies into the single Vision 2050. And we now know what we're working towards for the future and how to resource those strategies. We've built on our maturity as an organisation to help us better understand how to work with greater efficiency and effectiveness and to keep costs down. We've reviewed our service levels and undertaken an organisational transformation programme which included putting a freeze on recruitment until we better understood what we needed to do into the future to shift the business into being much more responsive, financially sustainable and adding real value to the community. We've only recruited into roles that help us deliver a better customer experience alongside technology that enables that. We're delivering important community projects like the recreation grant that's proposed in this year's budget, whilst getting on top of our deficit like never before. 1 year, a 60% reduction in our deficit is quite a leap forward. And again, very proud to be part of this conversation. So what about the issue of the salaries budget? Let's talk about that because, well, we know how it can be misconstrued. So the salary budget includes all on-costs that council is required to account for, which equates to 40% of a person's salary. These include training, leave entitlement, payroll tax, superannuation and workers' compensation. Some councils don't include some of those as part of the salaries budget. We do, for transparency purposes. Last year, we had a gender pay gap. If there's one surefire way to wind me up, is to have a gender pay gap. So we addressed that. We also completed our enterprise bargaining agreement just before Christmas. I might add that had we have not done that, thanks to the hard work of Rachel and the team, I am absolutely confident that Fair Work would have pushed us down a route of having to embark upon a joint EBA process with King Island and Warrington Wynyard, and the costs would be much higher than they currently are at the moment as part of this budget. For the complex nature of our organisation, we are very lean. We get challenged on this a lot. We deliver to service levels at this table the state and the federal government requires us to do. We do not have teams of people doing the same job and we don't have duplication. We do absolutely what we need to be doing and only that. So what's the big picture on our workforce? Let's talk about that for a second. Shortly after I started a year ago, is it today? Is it my anniversary today? I think it might be.
Pretty close.
I was dark hair. Our neighbours at Warrington Wynyard unfortunately pulled back 2 of their core shared services resources back to work solely into their council within the first month of me starting, which meant that we needed to recruit into these functions which were previously shared, and they were critical to the corporate governance functions and leadership of this organisation. Had we have not done that, the risk would have been exponential. We also heard from councillors and the community that we needed to be better at communication and engagement. And we've taken a huge leaps in this space by investing in dedicated comms person through our shared services agreement with Warrington Wynyard. I hope that you will all attest to the fact that how our comms and engagement is massively increased. We needed to have better insights into our significant assets that we all take for granted, over $400 million, as I say. So we made the decision to employ an asset accountant, which I feel has already contributed greatly to the effective delivery of project planning and much more insights into our assets, including our depreciation levels. Frankly, she is a significant asset to the organisation. This role alone will pay for itself in the short term just by critiquing how we value and depreciate our assets and forecast and plan for our projects. Many of our roles require professional, qualified staff that are in high demand across Australia. Despite what some may think, every one of our roles is critical to the ability to meet service outcomes and our state regulatory responsibilities. There is no fluff in our workforce. What we have done to scrutinise our staffing levels. The changes made through the transformation programme are many. At the beginning, we disestablished 5 roles. We reshaped teams. We focused on system and process improvement for better outcomes. We redirected funds from our consultancy budget that we had relied on for years and instead employing a senior town planner. But in turn, of course, that money from our consultancy budget now appears in our salaries budget. Naturally, it's going to increase as a result of doing so. But as a consequence of having that resource within our town planning team, we will get better customer outcomes. We've scrutinised our staff deployment on capital works programmes and will be capitalising parts of their salaries, thus reducing the operational impacts on reference salaries budget. There is still a way to go, but we have to reference it within the salaries budget in the first place. That does not mean that it will continue to appear there throughout the rest of the year. In this financial year, there's been additional resources being applied to discrete projects that will allow councillors to make informed decisions next financial year on matters such as short stay accommodation. But we need the people to do this. We've backfilled roles in a way that we're no longer top heavy. More staff doing the doing, with an ELT of just 3 people, including myself, as compared to other councils that might have 4 or 5. The narrative on the salary budget is not a fair reflection of the journey we have been on. We are resourced to deliver sustainable, cost-effective services to the community. Making comments about single number does not give the story, unfortunately. It will drive divisiveness when we are working hard to build trust with our community. Our community wants to see ease of doing business with council, and because of the work we are doing, we are now set up to be much more on track than we have for many, many years. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Tom. Rachel, you want to follow through? You,
Where to go, Mr Mayor?
no, it's very comprehensive, wasn't it?
Thank you, Mr
Good
Mayor.
job, Bob.
I think I'll just say a couple of things here. In terms of financial, an underlying operating deficit of 677,000 is what we're projecting in this 26-27 financial year. Council staff and councillors have worked really hard in this last 12 months to get that down. 2 years ago, we were looking at 2.5 million. So we're down into the near manageable deficit of 677,000, whilst also still delivering some really good outcomes for the community. Things are getting dearer everywhere. Our role's getting harder. Customers want more. No one wants to pay for it. And no decisions that this council makes now and in the next few years are going to be popular, but they're actually necessary. So I'll present that. I'll present the annual plan and budget estimates, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay. Questions or I'll allow statements even. How's that for you, Councillor Flower?
About time.
Councillor Pilkington's got to be in first.
Paul's talk sort of stole some of the thunder.
Thank you, Councillor.
We'll start again. We've been asked by some ratepayers to reject this budget, but I'm not going to do that. This does not mean I reject their concerns. As a council, we've wasted a lot of money, particularly on unnecessary reports. Most of this occurred in the first 2.5 years of this council's term. Since the appointment of Paul Gardner as General Manager, there's been a recognition that our direction has not been sustainable. He and his staff have been working solidly on plans to rectify this. This budget increase has been necessary to redeem our past mistakes and start heading in the right direction. However, Council must discipline itself to keep rates within inflation in the future. I also believe we can make further cuts, from small items like paying for our councillors' uniforms to large operations like roadside spraying, which Councillor Flowers has regularly described as a waste. For the remainder of this council term and the next council, we should assess the effectiveness of all expenditure, including employment costs and cuts where it is not producing results. The council faces many problems, from having the lowest population density and the longest road network of any Tasmanian council, to our distance from population centres and essential services. We must also lock away 20% of our road income in depreciation investments, which is mandated by government. The only way that this council can survive is by growing our population and economy. As Councillor Dubner promoted early in our term, we need to become a can-do council. We also need to do it efficiently and cleverly. Because I hope this can be done under Paul Gardner's management, I'm voting in favour of this budget.
Thanks, Councillor Pilkington. Is there another Councillor Flowers you look keen?
It's either me or Tony. We have tried our best around this table to cut costs, but some of the, well, most of the management is good, but some of it I'm not over impressed with. And I'll give you an example. They wanted a new 6-yard truck at 205,000 kilometres on it. So, and the councillors around here decided, no, you can keep that a bit longer. And the statement that we got was, if we don't get a truck this year, next year we want a truck and an excavator. Well, their attitude should change a little bit. We're the ones that's
We're talking about our budget here, not about the...
Yeah, we're the ones that's getting the flack. Meanwhile, they're sitting back there saying, we want. Well, everyone's got to cut costs here. It's not just us, everyone. Everyone in this council has got to cut costs. Now, their idea of we want everything has got to change. And a truck with 205,000 kilometres on it is like new.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and I think you'll find that sort of conversations is taking place from the General Manager and down, and very much on the way that's been presented, and we've worked our way through this budget.
But that's the statement we got back, and I was sitting here probably making a prick of myself in a lot of people's eyes, but that statement should never ever been made. Like, you're going to, I'm not going to be here next year, so they might get it,
But yeah, we're not going to argue on individual items.
No, I'm just giving you an example.
As a general thing, I think we're heading down the pathway you're talking about.
Yep.
And I'm sure under Paul's leadership there that's the way it will be.
That's what I mean, but things have got to change. If they don't change, we're going to be out the back door.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a pathway, we've got to stay the course.
Through you, Mr Mayor, if I may. Just today, in fact, we sat down and we initiated a project, an internal project around understanding our resource management, both in terms of our staff deployment on projects, and the next phase of that will be about use of equipment. What you're saying, Councillor, in your special way, is very much in line with what the plans are already in place. So I can give you that assurance.
Any further comment, questions?
Also, with a lot of costs, we should be stepping on state government's toes. We had a minister here for local government said, and we all should be able to remember this, that we shouldn't be doing what the state government is supposed to do. And when you go looking, there's a lot of things out there we're doing that the state government should be doing. Now, he told us, it was before Paul's time, but he told us not to do their job. And we're doing their job, and they're not going to change it because it's not costing them, it's costing the ratepayers of this municipality. And yeah, when I look at things in there, I sort of think, well, state government should be doing that. That's not a local government thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And even down to the fuel excise, the heavy duty fuel excise, we got the biggest, well, nearly half of the milk production is in Circular Head for the state. That's not all, they don't drive onto the highway. All that's coming off council roads. But then you got Burnie and Launceston are getting just as much as us, or if you're in Launceston you're getting more. They've got nothing. The logging industry, all them roads are coming in all on council roads. Yeah, and then we've got some of the government logging companies whinging about their rate rise. They probably should have think, well, if we didn't rip them off in the first place.
No, careful with your language, please. Careful with your language. They're entitled to their opinion.
Well, where I'm entitled to mine.
Absolutely, but boil it properly, please. Any further, anyone? Councillor Hine?
Yes, I will support the motion, but with some degree of
We haven't actually got a motion yet, but anyway.
Don't tell him.
3-7 as it is.
Yeah.
What I would like to see, and I commend the management and the leadership on our one-day workshop that we had on looking at rates and things like that. But what I would like to see is that replicated, looking at all the services we provide and see if there's somewhere that we can look at that and turn some of those back. I note your emphasis on the salaries and so on. When you look at the last year's salary compared to this year's salary, and you add the 4% onto last year's, you'll still find that there's for the extra 4.5 full-time equivalents, they average out over $200,000 per person, and so that needs to be looked at as well, I think, as far as see where that can be pruned back a little bit as well. Thank you.
May I respond?
You can respond, certainly.
What we're looking at in terms of our organisational shape now is significantly different to what it was 12 months ago. The organisational change programme, it consisted of shared services, some of which was factored into the salaries budget. With the withdrawal of shared services back into Waratah Wynyard, I was not going to employ the same level people into the organisation. So all the time, hence we moved from an organisation that was shaped, pardon the phrase, like a pillar, to one which was shaped like a pyramid, where the doers were positioned to actually do the doing. Now, when we are facing a reality of having budget for overheads and the 40% that I referred to earlier, we are an incredibly lean organisation based on current service levels. And if you remember, Councillor, the very first workshop we conducted in October of last year was to look at service levels. I think everybody will remember that conversation around the table. And at that point in time, there was no appetite to adjust service levels. The organisational change programme and every conversation since has its roots back into that very first workshop, which was what do we need to deliver through those service levels. The second point I would make is that we actually, from an organisation's perspective, need to stop talking about service levels, because that's a tactical operational tool that we use about the frequency of mowing or grading or whatever it might be. I would like this table, moving forward, to start talking about service outcomes, which is a different, more strategic type of conversation about what our community wants, needs and needs to observe out of council services, rather than frequency of how you do it. The two are connected, of course, but that ultimately will drive a different type of conversation around resourcing.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, we'll have the motion, you get a chance to talk as in the debate. But I think we've had more than a fair go of just, if Councillor Oldacre here has had a field day already. My mum, take it over, move in a second, and then thanks, Councillor Dabney. Second, Councillor, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Dabney, you wish to speak?
Can I reserve mine until after if anyone else has got something to say?
I've broken enough rules today, so that's fine. Anyone else wish, Deputy Mayor?
No, I just fully support.
Any other speakers? Thanks, Councillor Flowers.
I'm pretty impressed with how we've come out with what it's costing us for employees, because about 2-3 years ago I had an argument around this table and I didn't get no supporters that council was telling me it costs $17 an hour to employ someone. I don't know what year? It must have been back in the 1800s. But no one supported me. And yeah, it's good to see now. They're not saying nothing either. Why is it costing us so much? It's gone from $17 now 3 years ago to what it is now.
Any other speakers? Sorry?
That was a statement too.
No, that's part of the debate, that's allowed. Any other speakers? Councillor Dabner?
I probably hadn't intended to speak to this. I think the amount of work that's gone into this document is immense, not only from around this table, from the staff as well, and I think everyone that's had a hand in it has done an incredible job, particularly you, Rachel, so thank you very much. So I haven't prepared something. We'll see what happens. I think it's probably very important for the public to understand what the actual role of council is. We set policy, we set strategic direction, and we set the budget. I think one of the bits of information that will probably come as a shock to most people in the community is we have no control over the wages budget. There's only one wage or salary we have control over, and that is the appointment of and the salary of the General Manager. Now, that would probably surprise a lot of people to know that's what it is, but it's legislative set that way. It's an operational matter, and we put our faith in our very, very good General Manager, Paul Gardner, to actually manage that as an operational matter. And I think it is important that the public understand that there's been a lot of, I'll call it bullshittery about wages in this council, which is probably upsetting given the amount of work that I know has gone into the staff structure and the changes that have been made. And it's been really disappointing seeing really poorly informed information about that being publicly thrown around like it was truth. It's damaging to this council at a time when we have put an incredible amount of work over the last few years into bringing this council to where it is. We have a light at the end of the tunnel on the deficit, which is also good, and there's been some very tough decisions made on that. They won't always be popular, but it is what it is, and they have to be made, and we're the ones charged with making those decisions, so we're making them. I think once the public sees the stuff that's in this budget is going to see some pretty major things happening around this area in the next 12, 18 months, over the next 2 years. There are a lot of things that the next council will get the glory for, but we're the ones that have worked very hard and made big decisions to actually achieve. So I do hope that when the public sees those things happening, they do remember the poor souls sitting around here that went through a lot to make those things happen. I would like to see, as the General Manager mentioned, we only have 3 ways of sourcing income. One of those things is grants. I think I would certainly like to see, and I've certainly expressed this, and I know I stood in that seat one day very early in our term and passionately implored, is that the way we should say it? Everyone to change. We have to make change. We can't do it the way it's been doing it. I believe councils of the last 50 years have failed this community. I wanted this to be the one that turned it around. And as I consider myself a pretty good councillor and fairly analytical, and if there's a problem, I'll see it. And I actually have faith in not only everyone around this table and respect for, but particularly in the General Manager and the management team, that we are actually on the right track. The appetite for change is there. There's a recognition that we do have to be bold, we do have to fix things, and that will involve tough decisions in a community that's not necessarily traditionally that accepting of change, but frankly, they're just going to have to get on board. And I think that's probably the point. What I'm asking is the community actually note that there's an incredible amount of work gone into this. It is solid, it is good. If there was a problem with it, I'd say so. And I hope that the community starts to appreciate the work that has gone in over the next little bit when they see things starting to turn around, because they must. We cannot go on the way we are. Now, with the income, I think I'd like to certainly make sure that we are the squeaky wheel when it comes to the state government. Again, the public would probably be unaware there was a recent change to the heavy vehicle motor tax by my mathematical modelling in multiple ways. We were, for want of a better word, screwed out of $250,000 to $300,000. Now, 70-odd thousand dollars in our budget is a 1% rate increase. So if it was $300,000 we lost, that's money we have to find, that we assumed was probably going to be there for us. So I would ask that we continue to be, or certainly begin to be, continue to be, and forever be the squeaky wheel and the pain in the bum of whoever the state government is, because it does seem to work. And that's about it. All I'm asking is the public try and be understanding. I think we are all human, and we've probably been upset by some of the attacks that we've probably all had this week. And for God's sake, if you don't understand something that we're doing, ask before just mouthing off online, because I've seen a bit of that, and that's all it is. If anyone has a problem with that, I'm very easy to find for a chat, but expect the truth. I fully support this budget. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Councillor Dadner. Look, we're in a position where we have to make decisions which have been made, and I concur with Councillor Dadner on the amount of work that we as a council table have done, and thank you for that, especially the day that's been mentioned, the full day we had on that. That was a good day with lots of good outcomes in it. And the staff that have put the hours and hours of modelling and hours of collating all this stuff together. So thank you for that. We did have to come to some tough decisions, as Councillor Dadner said. We've done that. We will get out of our deficit. We'll move this community forward, but we must stay the course to do so. So those few words, I will then put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. So being no further business, I declare the special meeting closed.
Simple as that.
That's the longest one we've had for a while.
What's that, mate?
You right here?
Yeah, I'm good.
I